Welcome to TradingLounge and the Australian report, and this particular chart here is the XXJ, which is the banking sector, which is quite similar to the XFJ, which is the finance sector. Originally when we had this high here, and then we had the GFC here, which were basically expecting a correction here. Perhaps not so fast, but a correction all the same. We always viewed this down here actually as a wave A here, and then we were always looking for an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave to come back up to the 61.8% of this move down through here. So the B wave would have been here somewhere at the 61.8%. And then we were looking for a C wave down here. Now the market made a new high here, and B waves can do that as such here. So we could leave that here in play here, and we could also view this move down here as wave one, because when we were looking for a move coming down here, we would be looking for wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3, 4, 5. And so this also would be wave 1 and wave 2 here, and wave 3 coming down, and so on here. But this little move in here is starting to look bullish here. And the other reason that it's difficult to call this a B wave in here now, in some of the instances it's okay to do that with some of the banks, but our leading bank, which is Commonwealth Bank, holds about roughly 9% of the index for the ASX 200, so it's certainly a leading bank, and we need to use that as a bit of a guide stick. And when we do that, we can see that when it had its wave 3 coming up here on CBA, it really took this top out here by a long way here. So I'll just bring that up here, so you can see that this is the GFC high here, and this move here became, really quite long and strong here, typical of a third wave in price action. So based on that, we'd always been looking at this as a wave 4 here, and within the wave 4 here, there was two ways of looking at it. First of all, I was looking at this as wave 4 down to this point here, and that was okay, except when this market started to move up here in 5 waves as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, I really studied this first wave here, and I could ever only get 3 waves out of it. So it always appeared to me as being corrective here. So all of this rally being corrective here. So if it was corrective moving up here, then this move here quite logically to me would be a B wave up here, and this would become an A wave down for the A, back for the B, and down for the C. It could turn out into a triangle pattern as well, coming across here where we have an A and a B and a C and a D and an E, and then we move up. But there still needs this move up here to finish this sequence here, if this is going to be wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we're at a low in this scenario here. So I don't know if that is still correct. I don't know if this is wave 4 or this is wave 4, because this, if this little move in here, I really put a lot of sort of effort into that, and I know that it's only 3 waves and not 5. If this is wave 4 here, then we need to look at this as wave 1 here, then an A and a B and a C for wave 2, and then we move up from here into wave 3, 4 and 5 here with this market. So we need to be a little bit careful about that, and it can lead to the upside. What we have been doing, of course, is looking at AUDNZD for an entry as well, because I really like to buy on top of levels as such. This could also, if this is wave 4 here, I need to be careful that we have 1 and 2 and 3 and wave 4 here and wave 5 coming down here to finish this here. So before we sort of move up here in 5 waves to 100, making a new high above here. So we could push up from here, making this wave 1, ABC for wave 2, and then we go up for wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and wave 5, because we look for that normal pattern at at a level here. So that's, that's a real possibility here. So, I'm just sort of shooting the breeze here, and then we need to basically look for setups to move into this, so it's not a matter of being right or wrong. It's a matter of looking at both sides and then, being open-minded and flexible. One of the first mistakes you can make as trading is being fixed on one side. So it's okay if you've got the actual evidence and you can say that very clearly, but you have to be honest with yourself, and it takes a while emotionally to figure all that out. So in this little small moving up here, if I come back to the this market here, the XXJ here, and we'll just bring this in here a little bit. So what we had been talking about this, and what I'd recognized here is it's possible that this can be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, and finish here, and then have this up for 1 and back for 2 here, and then looking up for 3 here. So this could actually move up, because we've got wave 1 here, right? I'll just put that there. So it's not, because we've got this structure here, we're not going to get just 3 waves up here. We have to get 5 waves. We could, at the end of the day, we could get 5 waves to here, and then it could fail from that point. It just could fail from here and move down. And the way that it would do that would be wave 1 here, or an A wave, then an A and a B and a C wave here. But because we've got this first wave here, we're going to get 3 waves here. Okay, so because we've got wave 1 here, we're going to get 5 waves here. So it takes us up pretty high here. And if we look at banks like Westpac that are making a move to the upside, a bit like pretty much ANZ and Westpac off their lows are pretty much the same pattern as this one here, coming off their lows here. So if we look at those for a moment, and let's look at them in bullish terms. Let's look at New Zealand. Let's look at the Australian New Zealand first here, because this is the one that we've been sort of using for no particular reason. It was just first out of the box in a way, but we've either got from this low here, we've either got an A wave, a B wave, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the C wave here, and then we crash from this point here, not making a new high above here. Or otherwise, we've got a bullish market in here where we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 up here, wave 4 here, and then wave 5 going further up here to finish that top off up here. And what we decided to do here is that we would look for our setup in here. Okay, so you could have bought below here, as I've mentioned, and keeping the stop under this little point here, and then just look to build here. The market is trading above the 30 here now, so that's something. But also what I recognise as well is that in terms of moving to the upside here, is that this move from 1 to 2 here is corrective, so we'll be making a new high above here. Okay, and once again, because we've got this first move up here, we should be getting 5 waves up here, so 3, 4, and 5. So we should be going higher with this market here. So I'm figuring that we would look for 5 waves in this first little sequence here, and it might take a little, it might push up a little bit higher through here and then have its corrective pattern here and then move up. But we wanted this first 5 waves here. I think that we've got 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 and 5 coming into this space, and then the corrective move here. So it doesn't matter if you're long or you're thinking you're getting long. If you're going for the longer term and you don't overtrade, you've got a small position, then you don't have to worry about a $2 move with a $1 move, $1.50 move within here. So that's one chart. The other chart here, and the reason I'm spending timing on the banks is because obviously they affect the ASX 200 much more than the materials sector. I mean, even NAB can turn over more volume than BHP. In terms of weight. So let me find Westpac here. So the banks really do rule the situation. So if we were looking at Westpac here, this is a weekly chart here, okay? So the weekly chart here, once again, I can count this as corrective here. You know, it's possible to still have a bearish move here, but today I'm just looking at the positive move, okay? So we could look at this as wave 4 down to here. I can also treat this here as a B wave here because of this first move up as an A and a B, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the B wave, an A, B, C. And then we'd have to treat this as a C wave coming down. It's also possible that this can move down here and then have an A and a B and a C wave coming up to here further, and then moving back down here as well. But I don't think that's the case, you know, and this is what I'm talking about. The reason for that, I don't think being the case here, is because of this little structure within here. I'm just going to clear that up before I leave there. So I want to come to the daily chart and we just look at this little space in here. This has got a lot more to go in here. That we're looking at this particular little structure here. So just on the daily chart, I'm looking at it as a possible wave 4 here. So even this here doesn't count very nicely as wave 1, and I have to take wave 1 or wave 8 here, and it should be 5 waves up here from this low here, but I can really only get 3 because this is an A wave here, and then this is a B wave into here, and then I've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So it's very clear that this is a C wave here, so it can't be the top here. So it's really quite possible for this to be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave finishing here, but it's going to go much higher here because we've got the first little leg here, and then we've got the corrective move, and then we've got the next leg here that moves up here in 5 waves, and then corrects here, but it really corrects lower than wave 1 here. So the only way to count this is wave 1, wave 2, and then wave 1 of the next smaller degree here, then wave 2, then wave 3, then wave 4 and wave 5. So I'm looking for 5 waves within the third wave here. Okay, so we've got this trend line coming through here, so this is where the fourth wave would be played out. So really this has got the potential to have wave 4 and then wave 5 to make new highs up here and go higher up here. So if I look at the 4-hour chart and drill into here a little bit more here, then this is how it would look here. It would look for wave 1 here, but this wave 1 here doesn't really do it for me. I can't get 5 waves out of it. Okay, so there is a problem with this here. But at the same time, even though there's a problem here, I'm focusing on this side of it here, and I can definitely see that this is wave 1, ABC for wave 2, and then another little 5 waves up here, and then back for wave 2. So this is pulling back lower than this one here, so it has to be counted like this. So this is how it needs to be counted. So realistically, we've got a fair way to go here. Now, like ANZ, that's at $30, and we're looking at it playing out there, what we can do here with Westpac, this is a 4-hour chart, is we've got the 33 here, and we know that 3 is always group 1, so we've got 1, 2, and 3 here as group 1. So if we get tested support here, then what that's going to do is it's going to confirm that we're going to go up to 5 at that point. And when we're going to go here, we have the arrival, we'll have the reaction. There'll be some sort of, it might even go higher first, but basically what we're looking for is we're looking for that first high above the level. So we've got that here. We're looking for some sort of corrective move before going up here. But support on this level here in the future, it might take, you know, a week or a few days or whatever. But if we get a nice tested support here, then you know, then we're going. Then we can start looking at number 5 here, from 3 to 5 here. So let's see that if it fails from here and then sort of moves down from that point, well, then we know that something is seriously, then we'd have to look at this as wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, but it just doesn't make sense, you know, because see how strong this move is here compared to this one here. So this is I'm pretty confident about this particular count coming through here in this case here. So if we're going to, I'm just creating a positive story for the banks to push higher, just sort of following on from Friday and maybe before that, and that's going to take the index higher as well. So if we go back to the Australian market here as a CFD here, this was the way that I was looking at it. I was always considering this a triangle pattern here. This is like this, but if we looked at this in a positive light now, I would have to remove if we looked at this as a bullish market here now, then I would have to move this here. So I'll move these here. And then I would have to move this to here. And then I would have to put this here. And then this here. And then we would need to be looking at a move that would be moving up here. This is just to give you a bit of an idea. It's a smaller version of what happened to US spot gold when it was coming back down from 1800 down to 1000. So this would be classed as an ending diagonal triangle. And with an ending diagonal triangle, still a triangle, but basically it moves down here. It has its corrective pattern here in 3 waves. And then the move down here, which we'd call wave 1, would also be in 3 waves. And then we'd have the ABC pattern here. And then we would have another move down in 3 waves as well, and then 3 waves back up. So it's still a triangle, but it's just an ending diagonal triangle in 3 waves, and then moving back up here. I think that's, looking at the banks, that's pretty much what we've got now. So if that's the case, then this move is going to continue to the upside here. There's a couple of things that we can do here to this particular box down here, this rectangle box, that was my first target down here. And this was our target to the upside here. And if this target to the upside here becomes support, well, when we're looking at our targets, we can just gravitate to the closest largest number, because that's going to attract all the orders, which is volume, and the volume is the psychology. The numbers lay behind the psychology as well. And then there's life itself unfolding. And look, I've always suggested that if we do get support on the 5.8 here, then we've got ourselves the bullish market and we need to go long. Now, the market has moved above that, but that's what it did here as well, didn't it? It moved above here and then came back down. So I always say that the breakout's important, but the retest coming back down and retesting number is more important, because what it does, it confirms the trend that's moving up here in this case. So if I just focus on this little bit here and go into the tick chart, because I've made this video a little bit too long, then we can just have a look at what we need to do to look at this market going to the upside further. So we were looking at the hourly chart before, but and I think that I'll just do it here first. So this is what I think here is, I think that if Friday's bullish, then Monday's going to be bullish. So we could look at this as 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2, a little third wave coming in. So I can't draw on this side. So there's going to be a bit of a finish into here and then come back. But what I wanted to discuss is that this is 5.8. Then we've got 10, 20, and 30 here. So this is the top of group 1 here. So a tested support, like, see how this has moved up here and come back and tested group 2 here? Because over here, if you look, if we look at group 2 here, 65, 72 and the 80 here, it was resistance here, and then it spent all this time over here coming back and getting support, then made a new high above here. So it's basically walking up the stairs here. So this is kind of what we want to see over here, because if we get support on the 30 here, what happens then psychologically with the volume, people start thinking about, they start forgetting about the 8 and they start thinking about the number 5 here, the 5850 here. So what the number 3 does is it separates the order flow, the volume, from the 5/8 and sends it to the upside. So tested support on this number here will engage the trend to move higher from that point. Okay, so that's what we're looking for next. We had been talking about this on the hourly chart here over the last few days. So I've got this count here where we've got 5 waves here coming into play with an extension in the 5th here. But this extension in the 5th here, we're getting that in the US as well. But to me, it looks like a 3rd wave in a way too. So what we may have to do here is put wave 3 over here. I'll have to come up 1 more degree here and then call this wave 1 here and wave 2 here, because we're just going to be expanding to a larger pattern basically, and these would need to be in green or blue here. So that would be, then we get rid of the B wave here and we start looking to move up higher. So support on 30 here, that takes us higher from that point, and we need to trade long from that point. All right, I'll leave it at that because it's been a long video, but it does appear based on the banks that we will be looking at turning bullish now, because even this little move here for the XJO, the ASX 200 here, when you think about it, we're talking about going, much higher here based on this move here. So this is the banking sector here, so I don't know that, but this here, we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and we're going up for 3, 4, and 5 here. So we're definitely looking at getting this 5 waves here. So we will be moving higher, and the only other sort of thing that I can see here on the bearish side would be that if we looked at this this little move down here, if we looked at this down here is down for 1 and back for 2 and down for 1 and back for 2, then we'd be looking at a 61.8% mark here, right? And we're already past that here. So this can be an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave finishing here, and then collapse from here. That's true. That can't be ruled out either. But because we're above the 72 here, and it hasn't really tested it yet either. But I can see from the other banks that WBC and so on, is that we will be pushing higher. So anyway, it does appear that we're looking at a more bullish market coming into play, and if that's the case, then we'll start building into the banks at the right time. And the right time will be WBC with tested support on 33 and ANZ with support on 30. Alrighty, cheers.